It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 10 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be looking at Michonne's story in Season 10 and what could potentially push Michonne to leave in Season 10. Of course, as many of you by this time know, it has been revealed for quite a long time now that Michonne will also be leaving in Season 10 of The Walking Dead, much like Rick did. Now, for Michonne, we don't know if it's a situation like Rick and Maggie where they're just going to leave the story but not die, or if she's going to die. Now, I am leaning more towards her story being closer to Rick specifically, but also maybe Maggie's story where she actually leaves the story and we don't see her, but it's not like she's going to completely die or they're gonna kill her off and that'll be the end of it. The other thing that comes to mind is what could push Michonne to leave. If she's not going to die, then what could push Michonne to leave? And I think the only reason why Michonne would leave is looking for Rick. I don't see any other reason why Michonne would want to leave, especially for her to go away and leave her kids back at home. Now, we don't know if Judith and RJ are going to go as well with Michonne or stay, but I think for Judith specifically, because she's a legacy character, after Rick's quote-unquote death and obviously Carl's death, there isn't really that many Grimes around. So she's a legacy character that needs to be around. Now for RJ, you could make that case as well, but I think this fits Judith more than RJ because we've known Judith more than RJ, and it just feels different with RJ. So what I'm trying to get at is I think most likely Judith is not going to leave. She's going to stick around. And RJ most likely, same sort of thing. But for Michonne to want to leave, there has to be a reason. And I think the only reason Michonne would want to leave is if she finds out at some point in Season 10 that Rick is alive and he's out there, she will definitely want to go look for him. Because remember, they did reveal to us last season that both Michonne and Daryl were looking for Rick's body. They never found it. So I think that's definitely going to leave a big question mark for Michonne, whether Rick is truly dead or not. And she's going to not have closure. For her to get closure would be to get an answer. And I think that would be through going after Rick. Now, obviously, this means that there has to be an indication that Rick is alive. So something's gonna happen that's gonna lead Michonne to think that Rick is alive or find out that Rick is alive. Now, there's two ways this could go. The first way, which is a much simpler way, is for another helicopter to show up. That's going to spark the conversation within everyone again about what it is. Maybe Negan and Father Gabriel chime in. They share their experience with the helicopter and tell everyone what they know about the helicopter and what Jadis has been up to and everything like that. Father Gabriel can fill part of that gap by telling them about what Jadis told him when she disappeared, but also Negan can also chime in and kind of explain things from his perspective because he also saw the helicopter. That's the first way it could go, and it's the most obvious and simple way for it to go. The second way this could go is for a complete twist in the story where we have yet another crossover. So this only can work if they do another crossover, but this time they can do a crossover from Fear the Walking Dead into The Walking Dead. So a character can go from Fear the Walking Dead into The Walking Dead's original show. And you have probably guessed by this time who I'm referring to. Althea could be the key. Althea, if she crosses over to The Walking Dead in Season 10, which means that maybe somewhere in the second half of Season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, she's gonna leave, so she's gonna go away and she's gonna show up in Season 10 of The Walking Dead. So if Althea does cross over, that opens the door to so many other possibilities, because then what we could potentially see is after Althea crosses over to The Walking Dead and appears in Season 10 of The Walking Dead, we could see a scenario where Althea tries to document or record people's stories, much like she's been doing. She's trying to gather people's stories and record them. So she could do a similar thing, but this time she could interview Michonne, Negan, and Gabriel, or maybe just 2 out of 3 of them. And what could happen from there is Michonne can bring up the fact that Rick, her husband, died, but she could say something along the lines of, but I don't believe that he's dead, or I never believed that he's dead because I never found the body. Now, mix that with Althea trying to get other people's stories. Maybe Negan, maybe Gabriel. So what we could potentially see is they could bring up the helicopter. They could tell Althea about the helicopter and about their experience. And Althea, being a sort of character that likes to solve mysteries, she could put two and two together and she could try to see whether these two events happen at the same time. Negan, Gabriel seeing the helicopters, and Michonne saying that Rick died, or quote unquote died. And at that point, what we could see is Althea brings up her knowledge about the helicopter group, and she could bring up Isabel and everything she knows about the group. She could even talk about the maps and the CRM and things that she knows about them. And she could bring up the symbol that she saw on the helicopter and everything. That could actually be the connective tissue, the symbol. She could talk about the symbol. Negan and Gabriel could say they also saw a similar symbol. And that could be what sparks up the conversation. We do know in the last episode of Fear the Walking Dead, in season 5, episode 5, which was called The End of Everything, Althea did bring up the symbol. She did ask Isabel about the symbol. So that could have been a clue or an Easter egg for something that's going to come around later in another medium in The Walking Dead. And after that point, once Althea figures out that there's this strong possibility that Rick is taken by the helicopter group, the CRM, what we could see is Althea telling Michonne about this. And this could push Michonne into leaving in order to find Rick. Who knows? We might even have Althea and Michonne both leaving at the same time. And they could both cross over into the movies. And of course, that could make things very, very interesting, because if both Michonne and Althea cross over into the movies and appear in the movies, maybe in the second or third movie, and if Isabel is also at the CRM, which is very, very likely, what we could see is a scenario where Althea and Isabel see each other again. And that could bring up some very interesting tension between them. And it could make the story connect in many, many more ways than we've kind of seen so far. And also, if they move the story forward in a specific direction, we could potentially have a lot of well-known characters trying to expose the CRM and maybe overthrow the leaders of the CRM. And this is obviously assuming that CRM has oppressive leaders. This has actually been hinted at already, because when Isabel and Althea were talking, Isabel told Althea, you don't want to go to this community or something like that. And she did say protocol is to remove, meaning kill or destroy, anything threatening the security of the community. So going back to what I was saying, this could bring a lot of characters together in order to overthrow the leaders. These characters obviously would include Rick himself, Michonne, Jadis if she lives that long, Althea, and maybe even Isabel if she has a change of heart and if Althea can get her to kind of change sides. But I think at the end of the day, what could push Michonne to leave in season 10 is the idea that Rick is alive. And two ways they could have that happen is Michonne seeing another helicopter and maybe a conversation between Negan, Father Gabriel, and Michonne giving Michonne the indication that Rick might be alive, and they could push Michonne to leave that way, which is a little forced. Or they could make it a little more complex by having Althea cross over to The Walking Dead, the conversation come up about the helicopters, and they could have everyone share their experience and their stories, and they could put everything together and realize that Rick might be taken. And from there, Michonne and Althea could leave and cross over into the movies. So that's basically my big theory about what I think might happen. I don't necessarily think this is what they have in mind, because there's so many different things that they could do, but this is one of many other possibilities that are out there. But I want to know everyone's opinions about this. What do you guys think about this theory? And if you don't agree with it, what are your thoughts and opinions about how Michonne might leave in season 10, and do you think she's gonna join Rick in the movies? That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.